Good morning, dear colleagues. Good morning to all the participants, and good morning to you, Dr. Lawani Oilaitan. Thank you for honoring our invite and welcome to the Research Capacity Development Unit. Before I begin this session, I just wanted to let everybody know that this session is being recorded. So the recording has started. So, good morning again to you, dear colleagues. My name is Lawrence, and I am delighted to be your moderator for today's session. Can I just confirm if everybody can hear me before I continue with the thumbs up? If everybody can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can
Okay,
hear you.
perfect. I would like to start off by thanking all the attendees for taking the time to join, and most importantly, I would like to thank our presenter, Dr. Lawani Oilaitan Jafar, for taking his time and for preparing to giving this presentation. Before introducing Dr. Lawani to you, I would like to go over a few housekeeping rules, of which I'd like to think most of the attendees are aware of. If you do have any question during the presentation, please raise your virtual hand. And if you do not wish to speak, please type your question in the chat box and I will address the question to the facilitator. As I've mentioned in the beginning that this session will be recorded and all the presentation slides will be requested from the facilitator and we will post them on our model communities. And as the session will be going on, I will be posting a feedback survey in the chat session. So I would kindly ask all the participants to please fill in and also to provide some kind words to the facilitator, and also please note that we use this feedback survey for our reporting system. And also please note that by filling in this feedback survey, you will get a certificate of attendance for attending this session. Um, so allow me to read over Dr. Lawani's bio. Dr. Lawani Jafar Olaitan is a member in the Department of Quality and Operations Management at the University of Johannesburg, South Africa. He's part of the Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment, where he contributes to advancing knowledge and research in the fields of quality management and operations. And operations. Dr. Aoritani academic and professional expertise focuses on enhancing operational efficiency and fostering sustainable practices within organizations. His dedication to education and research plays a pivotal role in shaping the future of quality and operations management in the context of engineering and the built environment. So without any further ado, I'd like to please hand over to Dr. Lawani. You may go ahead and present. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Um, Give me a minute, please. Just a minute.
Okay.
Um, okay. Just a moment, please. I seem to mix something up here,
Okay,
and
not a problem. Not a problem.
within
No.
it.
Yes, Doc, I can see you are trying to present your slides.
Yeah, I
Yes.
I don't know. Just got this laptop this week, and I thought I could just run it with this. But then, just give me a moment,
Okay, not a
and
problem.
Hey, can you assist me? I'm trying to share my screen on Microsoft Teams.
Yes, we can see your slides, Doc. Yes, I can now see your slides from my side.
Oh, can you see now?
Yes, I can see. Can all the participants see Dr. Lawani's slides? Slides, please confirm with a thumbs up if you can see his slide. Yes, I think we can all see your slide. You may proceed. Yes, we can see your
All right,
slide. They
thank you.
present.
Sorry for
Okay,
the
not a problem. You may
mix up.
proceed. Not a problem at all. Thank you. You can proceed.
Thanks for your patience and understanding. I appreciate that.
Not a problem. You can proceed.
I believe we can all see the slide now. And
Yes. Yes, perfect. We
without
can
much
see you.
ado, I will just go straight to the presentation.
Okay.
And there's going to be a step-by-step guide in writing a methodology, particularly in qualitative research. And whether we are honors, masters, PhD, we are all on a fact-finding mission. And the essence of the mission is to get proper data and then to present a rigorous research output. So this presentation outlines as follows. We have the introduction, then understanding what qualitative research is. We also have purpose of the methodology section, the importance of the methodology sections as well. Then thereafter, we see the step-by-step components, starting with the research design, participant selection, data collection methods, data analysis, then the trustworthiness and the rigor that this research methodology brings into your work. Then we also have ethical considerations, then the study limitations as presented from your research output, and then tips for writing. Then we have the conclusion, the references, and we have open discussion. Now, introduction. The methodology section of a qualitative research study basically serves as a critical foundation for your study. Here you have to outline the philosophical approach. You have to
Sorry,
state
Doc.
clearly too. Hello?
I cannot see your slides moving from my side. I don't know if people can see it moving. I don't know if you
It's
are
not
moving.
moving.
Yes, I cannot say. I think we are constantly now on one slide.
It's not
Um,
moving.
yes. I don't know about the participants. Can you confirm if you can see the slides moving from your side to the next slide? You
Can you
can
see the
unmute.
slide now?
Yes, I can see it. Yes, they're saying the slides are not moving. Yes, they are now.
Is it
There is,
moving now?
yes, there is movement. Yes, there is movement. Is there movement from your slides, guys? Please confirm.
Yes.
Yes,
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 there is movement. Yes, yes. Now we
yes,
can view the slides.
yes, perfect.
The slide
We
is
can.
moving now, right?
Yes, perfect. Now we're on slide 4, right? Presentation
Yes.
outline. Yes.
Yeah, presentation outline. And
Okay,
then, like
we
as I was saying, the presentation outline gives us the introduction. Then we have the understanding to qualitative research methodology. We have the purpose for the methodology section, the importance of that same uh, qualitative methodology. Then we have the step-by-step guide, as well as the research design. We have the participant selection, data collection methods. We also have data analysis, then the trustworthiness and the rigor that research qualitative methodology brings to your thesis or work. Then we have the ethical considerations. Then we also have study limitation, tips for the writing, then conclusion, reference, and open discussion. So without much ado, I think we'll just go straight to the introduction. As I was saying, the introduction part helps us to understand why you need to introduce your thesis with an introduction, especially the qualitative section. This section of qualitative research study serves as a critical foundation. This is where you lay the background for what method you are going to use in that qualitative approach. The data collection has to be clearly spelled out. The analytical strategies used to explore your research questions. And this also helps you as you include it in the writing section because it gives a thematic theme of what you're going to be doing through your um, qualitative data collection. Now, the purpose of this is to ensure transparency because when you lay a background that gives the outline, it gives credibility. Then, if your method is rigorous and factual enough, it can be replicated. So by clearly outlining participant selection, data collection analysis method, and as well as ethical consideration, all of these helps to show that your method, your qualitative method of gathering data or approach is well grounded. So this section justifies selection research approach, and it situates the study within the broader academic context to ensure the validity and relevance of your findings. Because all of this is going to be what will definitely showcase what you are presenting next. Now, qualitative research methodology is particularly useful in fields that requires in-depth nuances of understanding human behavior. Like in abstract science, you can put atoms together, you can analyze them. These are quantifiable. But when it comes to human practices, understanding the feelings, behaviors, and perspectives, you can only use qualitative data research method to get the essentials of all of human activity, be it in social work for understanding the experiences of clients in medical sciences or impact of social services as you deliver your service in the community. So qualitative research methodologies allows for rich exploration of community practices and provide valuable insights that can inform better service delivery and policy making. Now, for the purpose of understanding qualitative research, it is essential that we we get we get the understanding properly because qualitative research examines people's experiences and perceptions. It also uses non-numerical methods like interviews and observations. This approach is particularly useful in areas needing deep understanding of human behavior. While this is why this is very, very important, it is because in qualitative research, those who drive policies, in most cases, are the experts. And these experts helps us to, these experts expose to um, see how policies are being formulated. But through research methodology, you are able to get the activities or the perceptions of those who drive policies or shape uh, direction of operations. Now, what is the purpose of qualitative methodology? The purpose is that qualitative method aims to explore human experience and social phenomena by capturing detailed, context-rich data. This data provides deep insight into perspectives and make it ideal for studying topics that are difficult to quantify. We talk about culture, we talk about identity or lived experiences. Qualitative data helps you to gauge this and to analyze it properly. Now, the following are the purposes why you can always use qualitative data. Number one, it helps to explore complex phenomena in depth. If you want to know the how, why that is behind behavioral experiences or a process, qualitative data research helps you to do that. To capture perspectives, participants' lived experiences. qualitative data research also helps you to do this. Then qualitative data also helps you to generate rich, detailed data that provide feelings, context-sensitive information that cannot easily be quantified. So to uncover meaning and motivation, qualitative data also helps you to do this. It explores underlying reasons, beliefs, and values that drives action. Furthermore, it helps you to see how policy could be shaped. Because when you're getting the data, practices are being imputed. So this provides insights that guide decision making. You want to design a program, the feedback from your qualitative data helps you to do that. Then, if there are intervention strategies that have to be employed, you can gauge these through qualitative data collection. So to support participatory or transformative research, qualitative data also helps you to do this. It empowers marginalized voice and engage participants in co-construction of knowledge, because the feedback from your respondents is part of what forms the decisions and the results you are going to be finding. So to develop theories or framework, also qualitative data helps you to do this. It can help you to build new conceptual understandings or theories from the ground up, so that all of this can form strong background for your study. So qualitative data also helps you to examine social, cultural, and contextual factors, which are part of what is human activities. Now, what are the importance of qualitative data? The following are the importance. Qualitative data methodology is important because it offers a comprehensive understanding of research problems by highlighting participants' perspectives and real-life contexts. This helps us to generate experience-based theories and support adaptability inquiry, making it especially useful in fields like education, healthcare, and social sciences. Now, in a nutshell, the importance of qualitative data are as follows. It provides deep understanding of human experiences. It explores complex social phenomena, generates context-rich insights. It also supports theory development. Qualitative data also allows for flexibility in research design. It amplifies marginalized or underrepresented voices. Qualitative data also helps you to enhance program and policy development. It strengthens understanding of meanings and motivation behind events. Now, let's get to the step-by-step design of components. The following components makes up the design of a qualitative data. You have to first of all fit out the research design itself, what it entails. And that means qualitative derived design is a flexible plan to use you to explore human experience and social phenomena in natural settings. It also involves collecting rich descriptive data through methods like interviews and observations. This allows for insights of participants, and you can get deeper perspectives into how their decisions are made. The common design includes phenomenology, ethnography, grounded theory, case studies, and narrative inquiry. Now, using which design that applies to you, your research problem, your research objectives, your research goals, all of these will form which approach will be best used in your qualitative design. For instance, if you're going to be building a model, you need, like if you be building a model for a design, for instance, maybe you are constructing a model in your thesis or your study work, it means you will be needing confirmatory analysis. Therefore, the approach in this case may likely be a Delphi methodology, because you'll be speaking to experts who shape that policy, and then you can now build a model and from that effort. Now, when it comes to participant selection, Qualitative research participant selection use non-probability sampling, and then you have to get a relevant insight rather than statistical generalization. You have to narrow it down to the group of participants that has informed opinion. So purposive sampling too can also be of common use. This targets individual, like Delphi that we mentioned earlier on. If you're building a theory or speaking to policies that has to do with education, then in that category you have to talk to educational practitioners leading opinions in educational management. Those will form your experts, and this will be related to what uh, 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 um, how do I put it? What findings and the directions they take in making policy. Now, participant selections also include snowballing sampling, where participants refer to others, and convenience sampling also can also be used. And based on accessibility of which one best suits your purpose, you can take a route in this direction. Now, researchers apply inclusion and exclusion criteria to ensure suitability. You can include to exclude or choose a participant that best speaks to the subject you are trying to study. So all of these samples will be gathered by data saturation. And then when new themes arise from what you have seen, it can be quantified and further studied. So the focus is on depth and diversity of experience rather than sample size. In most cases, if you're using a Delphi, a sample of maybe 15 to 20 participants will be okay. Until a consensus is built and reached, your data will continue to be emanating from them through reiteration. So data collection method conclude. In qualitative data collection methods focus on capturing detailed, context-rich, and nuanced insight into people's experience, behaviors, and perspectives. Unlike quantitative methods, the emphasis on depth rather than breadth. These are the following approaches that are usually used for data collection. You can use interview, which will either be structured or unstructured or even semi-structured uh, questionnaire to get respondents' feedback. Then you can also use focus group discussions. You can focus a group and have a discussion and intercession with them where you get their opinion and they get their feelings or opinion on what you're studying. Then the third approach is also observation, where you have to put under observation the numerical value of what you have among the groups as to their opinion and feelings on what they're bringing into your data. Now, data collection method using interview, you can use description. That is one-on-one conversation guided by open-ended questions. Then you can also have types of structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. Then the purpose of the interview is to explore individual experience, beliefs, and motivation in detail. Then you also have the group focus, which means you can watch a recording or a video or an interaction in a natural setting. Then we also have the types of participants here, which also involve the researcher, and then all other non-participants that are part of the process of collecting data. Then the purpose is also to understand the behavior often used in ethnographic studies. Now, when it comes to data documents and then text analysis, you use analyzing written words, visual audio materials such as diary reports, social media posts, or photos. Those forms to document and text of data collection, which is another method of data collection. The purpose here too is to examine communication, the language pattern, or symbolic meaning with real world content. Now, case studies also is another way of data collection. In this case, you use a description, which is in-depth exploration of single case or small number of cases. Then the purpose is to provide holistic insight into complex issues within real life context or situation. Now, data analysis method. The following are the data analysis method that is usually that works best with the data collection of qualitative data research design. We have thematic analysis. This identifies and analyzes patterns of themes within the data. How this build into a pattern to shape the outcome of events. This can be seen through the thematic analysis. Then we also have the content analysis. This systematically categorizes verbal or behavior data to study the frequency or themes or concepts or the frequency at which it happens and the impact on study case. Then you also have grounded theory analysis. This involves coding data to develop theories grounded in data itself. We also have narrative analysis. This focuses on the stories and personal accounts shared by participants. For instance, those who drive or shape policies are top management staffs, and then from their experience of the job and frequent changes, the pattern can be analyzed and then it can be built into the data. Then we have the discourse analysis. This examines language used, the power dynamics, communication patterns within text or speech. Then we have framework analysis, which uses structured metrics to chart data and identify key themes aligned with research objectives. We also have phenomenological analysis. This explores and interprets participants' lived experiences to uncover the essence of a phenomenon. Then interpretive phenological analysis, IPA. This combines psychological interpretation with detailed examination of personal lived experiences. So case study analysis is another one that can be used. This involves in-depth examination of single case or multiple cases within their real-life context. Now, the trustworthiness and rigor of your research methodology as it borders on qualitative methodology. It is how this addresses the issues on ground that gives you the trustworthiness and the rigor. Now, this triangulation involves using multiple sources of data, investigators' theories, or methods to cross-check and validate findings. This enhances depth and accuracy. Then it reduces biases, which can tilt or make your results not valid. So in-depth analysis and accuracy can be done to reduce these biases. And then this in turn strengthens the credibility of your results and the vigor and confirmability of what your qualitative research has set out to achieve. Another method in which you can validate your results is member checking. Member checking involves returning data or findings to participants for validation. Those who input those data, your respondents, when you are checking them and imputing them, you can check back on them to be sure that what they said is affirmative and they confirm the interpretation. This strengthens your credibility and then it prevents misrepresentation of your findings. Then trustworthiness and rigor. Make sure that your technique aligns with core criteria. This means that the efforts you have put in aligning with the core criteria of your research, they are in perfect synchronization, which shows that the techniques with which you have adopted to extract your data, qualitative data, goes in line with the thematic purpose for which you have set out your study in the first place. Then peer briefing involves discussing research process and interpretations with impartial colleagues or experts. All this we help to provide critical feedback that enhances the dependability and increased confirmability by ensuring that you are objective in what you are studying and your results are grounded in your facts. Now, we can check trustworthiness by building a table, and then in the table, you outline the strategy for the study, then the credibility, then dependability and transferability, and then the confirmability. Then the triangulation is checked against each of the boxes to ensure that they are aligning. Then you also have debriefing, description, and then audit trial. Then you also have flexibility. All this, when perfectly synchronized with your table, we show that the trustworthiness aligns with your core value, and then your result can be valid and then accepted. Now, what are the limitations to the studies that are likely to ensure? We are likely to find limited generalization, meaning that the findings are context specific and not intended to be generalized to larger population. You have chosen a data within a sample frame, and then the findings is limited. It does not apply to what goes outside. So that in itself is a limited generalization. Then research bias. The perspectives of the researcher, his interpretation or presence may influence data collection and analysis. Nobody is completely independent of interest in whatever you are researching. And this can be a bias which can inform limitations to the study. Then subjectivity. Data analysis is interpretive, which can induce variation in how terms are understood and reported. What applies to the 6 on this side may apply to this 9 on the other side. So it's subject to interpretation. And then this in itself is a limitation. Then small sample size. No matter how much data you gather, it is going to be a representation. Usually, you generalize from a small sample, believing that you have adequately covered it. There are enough sample size formulas to give you the adequate representation of what you need when you are gathering such data. Then data gathering can be time consuming, can be very time intensive. You have to do the data collection, you have to do the transcription, you have to analyze, and all of these are labor intensive and time consuming. The access and reports, getting access to participants at times and building trust can be very challenging, especially in sensitive research areas. Data may not be readily given, and it may mean that the whole fact is not covered. Then when it comes to reliability and replicability, these are also issues because the process is not standardized. You are replicating the study may produce different results. You started the study on this ground. By the time the same study is conducted twice, the findings are different. So this is a limitation in itself. Then data saturation and uncertainty. Determining when enough data has been collected can be subjective. Each researcher will have to know when he or she has had enough data collection. For instance, if you're using a Delphi technique to gather, one or two or three sessions may be enough to validate what you want to get. But for another research methodology with a different focus, you may determine when retrieval has to go further. But for Delphi research methodology, once a consensus is reached, that data is sufficient for interpretation. Then we have ethical concerns. You have to manage confidentiality. Information being given are complex, but the ethical So ethical thing to do is to ensure that confidentiality of your respondents is assured. Gain their confidence to let them know that whatever it is being done is being preserved, is just to build further ground for study and validate results. Therefore, the anonymity is guaranteed, and then the ethical concern will be reduced if you follow the ethical procedure. Now, these are the following tips for writing a qualitative section. You start with a rationale. You want to explain why qualitative methodology is appropriate for your research questions. Are you exploring experiences? Are you understanding a process? Are you interpreting meanings? In the starting point, you have to lay a groundwork in that methodology section, explaining the reason you have chosen that route of approach. Then you describe your approach clearly, meaning that you have to specify the qualitative tradition you are following. Is it phenomenology? Is it grounded in theory? Is it ethnography? Is it a case study? You have to specify this approach in your writing. Then you have to detail the participant selection. You have to describe the sampling method, e.g., is it purposive? Is it going to be snowballing? Is it going to be inclusion exclusion criteria? Are you going to justify the same cycle with reference to data saturation? These have to be clearly set out because this will guide the very approach and set the boundaries of what is to be expected as regards your data collection. Then you have to also explain in the writing your data collection method. Identify how that data will be collected. Are you going to be using interviews as your instrument? Are you going to be using focus group discussions or observations? Then not only specify your data collection model, you also have to provide justification for it. Without a justification for your method, it will be assumed that you are not sure, and then it will not give sound rigor to your data collection method. So now you have to also outline your data collection technique in the writing section. Describe how the data will be coded and analyzed, e.g., if it is thematic analysis or content analysis, grounded theory coding stages, all of the method you are going to use has to be clearly stated. And remember, a combination of technique might work depending on your objectives. A single approach might work depending on if it is sufficient to satisfy your data collection. Then you also ensure that your method of collection is transparent. Transparency is very, very important. You have to mention the tools you are going to be using. Is it in vivo? Is it Atlas T? And you have to provide enough detail to the process so that it can be replicable and then it can be understandable to others. You have to lay this clearly in your methodology session and let it be well stated so that it can be seen and as verifiable, and then it can be replicated. Then when it comes to trustworthiness, you have to address trustworthiness by discussing strategies to ensure credibility. One of the reasons why research is credible is because it is open, verifiable, but then it must also be transferable. That is, whatever knowledge you are coming up with, it must be able to be transferred and be used, not just limited to a particular. The wider the usage, the more transferability, and then it gives it trustworthiness. Then you also have to have dependability, and then we also have confirmability. What you have postulated, what you have verified, what you have come out with must be dependable. It must be reliable. And then through the process you have used to arrive at your data collection and analysis, it must be confirmable. The equation, whatever you have used, must be verifiable and be seen to be transparent. Then you see you have to have the triangulation already. The concurrent triangulation is a mixed method approach. You have your quantitative data on one hand, you have your qualitative on the other hand, and then you have the confirmatory analysis to ensure that the triangulation is balanced. Then acknowledge researcher reflexibility. You have to reflect on your own rule and potential biases and rein this in, not to taint your findings. Feelings and emotions are part of your makeup, but then you want to stand back and make sure that your rule is unbiased. And then how you manage them, how you intend to be neutral, should also be stated and be seen throughout the research process. Now, you also have to consider ethical issues, which include how to get their informed consent. Usually, there's an informed consent form for the data you are collecting, and the participant has to grant their consent. Because if consent is not gathered, your data is going to amount to speculation. So having an informed consent of your data source gives it credibility. And then you have to also assure them of their confidentiality. And then you have to also ensure that ethical clearance is obtained, which shows that you have convinced the institution that you have a transparent, verifiable approach that has taken into consent, the consent of your data, your respondents. And all of this, when verified, will help to safeguard ethical issues. Then, in your language, you want to use clear, precise language. Jargon should not have a place in it. And then you explain methodological terms to ensure clarity for multidisciplinary audiences. Lately, we've been talking about transdisciplinary. A lot of boundaries are collapsing and knowledge and gap is overlapping. So for wider audience, for provide for flexibility so that as many people as possible can have access to the knowledge you have created. And now, in conclusion, what is the take-home message? When you have a well-written qualitative methodology section, it must be clearly justified and then justify the usage of this qualitative approach. This must align with your research objectives, the objective you have set out to achieve, and then transparently explain the design and the design of the sampling, the design of the data collection, and all the methods used must be clearly stated in unambiguous terms. This allows for transparency. It should also show reflexivity. That is, it must be seen to be relatively flexible so that it can accommodate the objective and the goals you have set out. Then you also have to address the limitations that the methodology has to the study to show that, yeah, you acknowledge certain limitations. And then you also outline your strategies to ensure the study's trustworthiness and then the ethical rigor. All of this will ultimately enhance the credibility and the academic value of your study. Following are the references that has been used in the study. And then, thank you for your listening. Appreciate your patience. Then, questions and answers.
Yeah, Dr. Lawani, thank you. Thank you so much for a very insightful presentation on writing a methodology section in qualitative research. I'm sure you've really simplified it a lot for the participants here, and I'm sure they've learned a thing or two that they will definitely be incorporating in their research. Here at the Research Capacity Development, we really appreciate your expertise and for giving this presentation. And as Dr. Lawani has indicated, that if you do have any questions, Please raise a question. You can either type in the chat box or you can raise your hand and I will indicate to him and he will be able to address your thingy, your questions. Thank you. So I've allowed everybody's mic. If you do wish to speak, please unmute and you may give out your comments or you can ask your questions. Please go ahead. Yes, Michael, I see you have your hand up. You may unmute and speak. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doc, for this presentation. I have a small issue for clarification. At some point, I got a bit confused. I think there's a slide where you are explaining data collection methods. I don't know if you can scroll back to it. And it was, yeah, just continue. There was a slide on data collection. Yeah, just before this. Yes, I think at that point, the next one, there's one on case studies. I was a bit confused. I think the next slide on case studies, I was a bit confused when you refer to case studies as a data collection method. And I don't know, maybe my understanding is, just help me clarify this. So are we using case studies as an approach or case studies as a methodology? Because I also see it listed as a data analysis method. So we have case studies as data collection method and case study analysis, that case studies as data analysis. So I'm really not clear. Yes, this point, I'm really not clear where to put
When
case studies.
the case study as used in this context is when you have um, a group of let me look for the precise way so that I can explain to you. A case study here to gather data is when you maybe something very similar to um, focus group discussions. There's a group of people now getting their opinion. Remember, we're saying we are getting nuances, feelings, attitudes, and culture of what has been done. In a case study of this way of gathering data, you might approach the number you have justified for your study, depending on the population. Isolating this group case, the phenomenon, the nonsense, the thematic, the themes emerging from their observation is the source of data collection. I don't know if you get my point now.
Yeah, kind of, but for just for clarification, my understanding has always been that if I'm using the word data collection, that then I think in terms of, for instance, what you are mentioning, focus group discussion, in-depth interviews, surveys, but I'm really struggling to understand how I can use case studies as a data collection method.
That is what I just told you now. If you're using the focused group discussion, you are getting their opinion. You're getting their responses on questions you have prepared. In the case study now, it is the same as when you identify what the subject matter is you are investigating. Getting data from that source that you have identified is a case study, and the data you get can be analyzed and be inputted into your results. That is the point of using a case study as used in this research methodology.
Okay.
And remember, we said the flexibility and the transparency. You see, it's like you're going on a journey. We, I have, I have not used one particular um, qualitative research methodology. I have tried to approach as many as possible, knowing that the audience are diverse. If I'm going to look at a case study, I'm going to work on a research, and it's going to develop a policy framework, I will not go through that route. Are you getting my point?
Mhm.
I may use another qualitative research methodology that allows me to go in that direction.
Mm.
But in this case, we are looking at research, qualitative research methodology from a broader perspective. And a lot of what we have been discussed is just to address the point. And don't forget too, you're going to be carrying out your literature review. And in the process of your literature review, you have to justify the approach you have adopted. Are you following me? So
Sure.
when we say a case study in this case now, if it applies to what you're doing, it becomes clearer to your audience.
Okay.
Then they can know that you have chosen these routes. It's just like I say you are going to you are a UG student. Okay, you are going to APK from Soweto. Are you going to use Uber? That is a route. Are you going to use the school bus? That's another approach. That is why all of this has to be clearly spelled out in the body of writing. You cannot combine all this. You can maybe use one or two depending on your objectives and goals. Are you getting what I'm saying? So it
Sure.
is in the body of literature as you build your arguments and justify them with references, then it becomes clear and transparent. I hope
Okay.
I've been able to answer to some extent.
Sure. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lawani, for clarifying on that today. Study being a data collection method, and I hope you answered that, Michael. Thank you so much for clarifying on that. Are there any other questions from the participants? So you can either type your question in the chat box, or you can raise your virtual hands, or you can unmute your mic if you do have any further questions or comments. Or if there's something that was a bit unclear to you that you need clarification on, then Dr. Lawan is here to clarify on that. You can raise your hand or you can type the question in the chat box if you do not wish to speak. As I've stated in the beginning, that I have posted the feedback survey in the chat session. So also this evaluation link, it will also ensure if you fill it out, it also ensures that you receive a certificate of attendance for this particular workshop. So we kindly ask you to please fill it in, and also please to kindly provide some kind words to our facilitator, as we will be giving out feedback to our facilitator for how this session went. So if you do have any suggestion or any topics that you feel that we should discuss in the future, you can also type them in the chat box, or you can email us at rcdinquiries@uj.ac.za. So I will be popping the email address in the chat section. If there is any title or workshop that you feel that we can run for you as postgraduate students, please email us at rcdinquiries@uj.ac.za, and we should be able to plan some of these workshops in the future for all the postgraduate students. So much. And since I'd like to believe there isn't any questions from the participants, I hope and I wish you the best in your research academic journey. And thank you so much again to you, Dr. Lawani, for the very, very, very insightful presentation. The research capacity development, really appreciate your expertise, and for you giving out the presentation and writing methodology section in qualitative research. And I believe you were very clear with your explanation, and your slides were very detailed. So I believe all the participants, they are very much answered and they've taken a thing or two that they will definitely be incorporating in their research. In that regard, is there anything else that you'd like to add, Dr. Lawani, before we can end the session?
No, just on a short note, I want you
Yes.
to understand that the more you advance in your studies and the more research you carry out and the more diversified these research approaches you choose are choosing you choosing, the clearer it becomes to you. When you take a route once, twice, you become an expert in that. You know what to expect, what to see. Carrying out a research, you may never know what you find out there. It's a journey. You're traveling then. So, but as you go with your literature, your supervisor, your peers, it becomes clearer and the road becomes easier. So, like I said, qualitative research methodology, one of the most difficult things to gauge is human feelings, human culture, because it can be subjective, it can be biased. But then there's are the things that shapes policies, that shapes decisions in management, the way they see issues. So just accept that the route you are going to choose will be dictated by your objective, problem statements, and the likes. Then, as you have streamlined those, the methodology you choose in that qualitative approach will become clearer. I hope it makes sense a little bit. Thank you.
Yep, definitely it does. And thank you for clarifying on that. Of course, as you mentioned, that we do have diverse, a multidisciplinary audience here. They are all from different faculties, different departments, and how they conduct their research also depends on how the department or faculty guidelines are stipulated within that department. And thank you for clarifying on that, and thank you for making it a multidisciplinary workshop so that everybody can be able to definitely incorporate in their qualitative research methodology session within their dissertation or thesis. In that regard, I'd like to think that all the participants are answered. I see there isn't any questions further in the chat box, and there is no hand raised for any further clarification. And in that regard, once again, I'd like to thank you so much, Dr. Lawani, for the very insightful presentation. And thank you to all the participants as well for joining this
Thank you.
session and making it a very, very insightful one. We really, really do appreciate your presence. And as mentioned, there will be another section again in the afternoon. It will be writing a methodology section in the quantitative research part. It will be from 1 to 3. So as now we were doing qualitative, writing a qualitative research section, in the afternoon there will be writing a quantitative research section. So hopefully we'll be seeing most of you in that section later in the day today in the afternoon. In that regard, thank you so much again to all the participants, and thank you again, Dr. Lawani. We really, really
Thank you.
appreciate your insights. And
Thank you.
in that regard, I will be closing the session. And thank you again to all the participants. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day further. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.